In this video series, we're going to have a look at WordPress from a beginner's perspective. There are lots of reasons you should be using WordPress and get yourself familiar with it. After all, it is one of the most flexible and most used platforms on the internet. And the reason for that is because it is an all-encompassing platform. You can do almost anything with it. So not only can you create blogs, but you can create entire websites, you can create squeeze pages, you can create members areas, and with the available plugins, there's almost no limit to what you can do with it. It also, right out of the box, has responsive design. As you can see in the picture right here, what happens is that WordPress with many themes, especially the ones that are built by WordPress, will automatically adjust the size to make your website fit in a smartphone or tablet. So you get fully responsive design right out of the box. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how you can get a WordPress site set up. We'll go through the install process and we'll go through the setup process. We're going to go through adding themes and plugins and creating a blog and then creating an actual website out of it. I'll also give you an example of creating a squeeze page where you would collect subscriber information so that you have a good feel of what you can do with WordPress. So in the next video, we're going to go through getting WordPress installed on your domain. Before we install WordPress, let's go over what you need to have to install it. Now, let me point out that we are looking at hosting WordPress on your own domain name. So we're looking at wordpress.org, which is the script you install. There's also wordpress.com, which is a platform that is hosted by WordPress itself. You can create a free blog on here, but it isn't nearly as flexible. Plus, you don't have complete control over it. So I just wanted to make that clear that we are talking about hosting your own WordPress site. Now, to do that, you're going to have a couple things. Let's go over what you need. First of all, you're going to need a domain name. This is your www address. So there are different places you can register them. For instance, GoDaddy and Namecheap. So you can just go find a domain name by doing a search and register it. The other thing you're going to need is web hosting. Usually you can get web hosting at the same spot where you get your domain name, or you can get it in other places. Personally, I never get them at the same place. I register my domains at one spot and I host them somewhere else. But of course, that's entirely up to you. So for instance, HostGator, you get hosting for as little as $3.99 per month. Now what you need to make sure you get is a MySQL database, and all the packages from HostGator have that. So if we were to go and have a look here, for instance, let's just click up here on web hosting. Okay, and then you have your different plans here. So either get a baby or a business plan if you're going to go with HostGator. So you can compare all the plans by clicking here and just see which one suits your needs. So if you look at the comparison here and what you get, you can see the differences here. Now the main one that you need to watch out for is the one domain name versus unlimited domain names. If you are going to ever build more than one website, you might as well go for the baby plan here. So that's the main difference between these two that you need to worry about. I wouldn't buy one that you can only host one domain on. Of course, that's entirely up to you. Okay, so once you have your domain name and hosting, you can go ahead and start installing WordPress, and that's what we'll go over next here. Now, there are a couple ways to install WordPress. Most hosting providers have a way that you can use an automatic installer. So you'll find something like Quick Install on some hosting providers. And then all you have to do is find WordPress along the left-hand side here. So there it is there under blog software. So you can click on that and then you can go through this wizard. So this is really straightforward. I'm not even going to demonstrate it. However, you should know how to install WordPress the manual way. Sometimes it's better to take control of the whole thing and you should know how to do it. I personally always use the manual install when I'm installing WordPress. So we're going to go over that. So all you have to do is go to wordpress.org and then download the most recent version. You'll find it over here. And then you get to the next page and you want to download the zip file. And just save it to your computer. And the next thing you want to do is you want to unzip this. So if you right click here, you can use the built-in extract feature in Windows and unzip it that way. Or you can install a program called 7-zip that you can get for free. You can just do a search for it if you want to use that. Or any other program you want to use, it'll unzip the files. So you can do a search for 7-zip if you don't have a way to do it, and it's a free program you can install. I use it because it's the fastest one I found. So I just do extract files, click OK, and it'll extract all of WordPress right to this directory. So your WordPress files will be right inside here and inside the WordPress directory, and there is the whole WordPress script. Now what we need to do is upload that to our hosting account. To do that, you're going to need an FTP client. And you can get a free FTP client called FileZilla. Just do a search for it and download it and install it on your computer. So here's what FileZilla looks like. On the left-hand side, this will be the files on your computer. On the right-hand side, once you hook up to your server, this is where your files will be uploaded to. So to hook up to your server, you can put your host name in here, which is your domain name, and then the username and password for your hosting account. You can also go into your control panel or whatever you have to control your hosting and set up an FTP account there and use that. Now there's also, if you go into File and Site Manager, you can put your sites in here, and that way you'll be able to access them very quickly. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and connect up to my server. Okay, and here is my server on the right-hand side. Now on this side, I need to navigate to where my WordPress files are so that I can upload them. Okay, so to upload this, we just go inside here and upload all of these. Now when I upload these over to here, they're going to be available right when I go to my domain name. What I mean by that is if I type my domain name in my browser bar, it's going to go right to WordPress. You can also put it in a directory, so it'll be your domain name / whatever directory you put here. So if you put blog, for instance, it would be your domain name / blog. So depending on which way you want it to appear, whether in a folder or right when you type in your domain name, that will determine how you upload your file. So when I type in my domain name, I want it to go right to my blog. Okay, so we're going to just select all these. Select one and hit Control A, and then right click and upload. So that's going to upload the entire WordPress script there. Now the next thing we need to do is go and create a database for our WordPress blog since it is database driven. So go to the databases section of your control panel. If you're not using cPanel hosting, you'll be able to find it somewhere else, but you will be able to find somewhere to create a MySQL database. So I have this database wizard, so I'm going to go in here. So all you got to do is put a name in here for your database. It's always good to use a name that has something to do with the site you're creating if you can. So I'm just going to call this TST123. The next thing we need to do is create a username that can access the database. And this username and password will be used by WordPress to access the data. I'm just going to name it the same here. And then what you need to do is put a strong password in here, and you can use the password generator. So just copy this, and then say that you've copied it somewhere safe. Click use password. You'll see you now have a nice strong password, and then create user. Next thing you need to do is give it all privileges, and next step. Now at this point you have everything you need. What you need to do is save it somewhere in Notepad or somewhere. So what I always do now is I save the information in a Notepad session. So I already have the password in my clipboard, so paste it in there. And then what we can do is just copy this right here. Just copy that one line. That contains your database name and your username, which you'll need during the install. So we'll paste that here. We now have everything we need going forward. Now let's go and see how our upload's doing. You'll see that it's now done. It says successful uploads, no failed uploads. So to get the install going, all we have to do now is type in the location where we uploaded this. So basically I just got to type in the domain name where I uploaded these files, where I want it installed. The first thing you need to do is choose your language. All right, now it's telling us here we need our database name, username, password, database host, and table prefix. So click Let's Go. We have most of that already. So if we bring up our Notepad session here, we can take our password first, copy that, and paste it in where it says password. Now we made our database name and our username the same when we were creating them. So we just got to grab it once here. Just make sure they are the same, because one of them, I think it's the username, can't be quite as long as the database. So just make sure that they are actually the same, and then you can paste them both in here. Of course, if they're different, you need to paste them in properly here. Now, you'll see here something called database host. Most of the time this is right, but not always. So you need to go and determine what goes there. So if you go to the database and then you go to phpMyAdmin, you see up in the left-hand corner up here, it says server localhost. So whatever that says there, that's what you need in your install. So that's correct for me. The next thing is a table prefix. This is so you can install multiple instances of WordPress in one database just by changing the table prefix. If you have unlimited databases, then you don't have to worry about changing it. But I always change it from WP just for security reasons. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm just going to call it MT for my test. But whatever you want to do, you can put it here. Okay, let's submit. So it makes sure that everything's right at this point. And then run the install. Okay, so now we'll give it a site title. Then you need a username. Don't use admin, use something else. I'll use blog guy. You need to give it a password and then an email address here. Allow search engines. You can leave this on or off. If you turn it off now during the install process and setup, you're going to need to turn it on later if you want the search engines to be able to find your site. I'm just going to leave it on. So I'll fill the rest of this out and then we'll install WordPress. Okay, and log in. Okay, and I'm just going to have it remember me. We'll click login. And there we have it. WordPress is now installed. Themes, as you might expect, determine the appearance of your site. So if we go here to appearance, and then themes. This will bring up the themes that are already installed on WordPress, and it'll show you the active theme right here, and then you can switch to any of these themes here. You can also add other themes, and we'll go over that in a second. Now, also you have plugins. Plugins are down here, and we'll talk about these other things a little later. Let's go to plugins and installed. So there's just a couple installed by default here, but this is where your plugins will show up once you install them. So the first thing we're going to do is work on our theme. So let's go and have a look at what our site looks like right now, right out of the box, right after it's installed. So there is a standard WordPress install at this time with the standard theme. So let's go, if you just put your mouse over here, over top of the title, you can go to the dashboard themes, customize widgets, menus, background, and header, which is mostly about appearance. Okay, so let's just go to the dashboard. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a page for the front. Before we even get to the theme, let's create a home page. So if there, you'll notice that we have posts and pages. Posts follow a normal blog format where you'll have a post after a post after a post within categories. Pages are outside of that. They're just pages, so they're not part of real blogging. They're more for sites. You can also put a home page on your blog and then have a link to your blogging section, whichever way you want to do it. So I'm going to create a home page here. So I'm just going to click Add New. And I'm just going to put my home page. Okay, and then you can come down here and you'll get these little tips the first time that you come into a new function. You can just dismiss it. But we have visual and text here. So you have a visual editor here with some functions. And you'll see right here, the toolbar toggle is the last thing on here. Will give you some more functionality within the WordPress editor. Okay, so let's just put in here. Now, you can also add media, so videos and pictures and so on, by going to add media here. And then you can upload media right onto your WordPress site by dragging it right into this section, or you can select a file off your computer. So let's just put a picture on here so I can show you how it works. So I'm just going to drag a picture up here. And you'll see that it's dropping it there. And there it is. So over on this side, we can add a title to it. We can add a description to it, alt text. This is all optional. And then you can insert it in the page by clicking here, and it will insert it there. If you click on the image, you get some things you can do with it. You'll see up here we can go and do some different functions with it here. And they come up under there, so no alignment right now. So if we want to align left, like that. Now, any text we put over here will align to the side. Okay, so there's a quick use of the editor there. You have all these other things here. For instance, you can put a link in here and link your picture or your text off to something else. So it's just a basic editor, kind of like a word processor, but quite limited. The text over here, this brings up the HTML. You're not going to want to use that unless you know HTML, and just stick with the editor. Over on the left-hand side here, you can change the visibility. So right now it's a draft, and when we publish it, it will no longer be a draft. Visibility, so it can be public or password protected or private. If it's private, of course, nobody can see it. it's password protected, they're going to have to put in a password, and public is just what it sounds like. Down here, you can put it in underneath a page, underneath a parent page, so it would be a sub page if you want to do that. And then the order, this is how you can order your pages in the list. Okay, you can also set images as a featured image. Let's just publish this. Okay, now the reason I put the page here is I wanted to show you how you can set a home page for your site. We're going to go into the settings a little later, but what we're going to do is go into settings and reading. And then over here, this is how you can set a home page for your site by just clicking on a static page and then click in here and click on the page you want for your home page and save changes. Now when we go visit the site, our front page is now the page that we just created. Okay, now I've shown you that. What I want to do now is show you how to install other themes. So let's go to themes. And then if you want to use one of the other themes, say we want to use this one, we can just go over here, do a live preview, and it'll show us in advance what it looks like. And then if we like that, we can save and activate. And then if we visit the site now, it will have changed the theme. All right, let's go back to themes again. I just want to show you how you can install a theme from the WordPress directory. You'll see up here now it says add new, or here, add new. They both do the same thing. Let's click add new. And then it comes up into the WordPress directory here, and it'll show you the featured ones, then popular, latest, and you can also search if you have something in specific in mind. So to install it, let's just pick any one here. Okay, so say we want to install that one, all you got to do is click install. Now at this point, it's on your site, but you can do a live preview first before you go any further and make sure you actually want it there. If you don't like the way it looks, you don't have to go any further. Okay, so there it is. I don't want to continue with this one, so I'm just going to hit the X up here. And I'm going to return to theme installer. Okay, so I haven't changed anything yet. I've just put another theme on there. Let's go search for a theme. I'll say pets. Let's see what comes up. Not much in that case. But let's install this one. Let's do a live preview. Okay, let's save and activate. So that's how easy it is to change your theme. You just got to go and pick one, install, and then it's there. Now let's go have a look at plugins. We touched on plugins at the beginning of this video, but let's just go a little further into it right now. Now you'll see that when we install the theme now, it is asking us to install a plugin. I don't want to do that because I'm not actually going to use that theme. So I'm just going to go back and I'm going to put back one of the default themes here. So let's just put back this one. And I'll save and activate. All right, now let's go back into plugins and install plugins. So like I said before, this is where your plugins will be, and you can activate them in here, delete them, and edit them. So I'm going to delete this Hello Dolly plugin. It's just a sample plugin they put as a placeholder there. And then I'm just going to delete. That's how you can delete a plugin out of there after you deactivate it. Adding new plugins is very similar to adding themes. Just click Add New. And then same thing again. You have featured, popular, recommended, favorites, and then you can search. Now let's go to popular. Now I suggest installing a couple of them right away. What I always like to install is an all-in-one SEO pack. This helps the search engines find your site. There's alternatives to this as well, but I'm just going to use this one. So I'll just do install now, click OK, and I'm not going to activate it yet. I'm going to go back to the plugin installer. And we'll come and activate it in a minute. So let's go back to popular. And then I want to put in the Google XML sitemap. So here it is here. I'm going to install it. Click OK. And then I'm going to return to plugins. So I could have activated it from there. So I'm going to actually go back to installed plugins here. So now we have those plugins sitting here ready to be activated. So I'm going to activate the all-in-one SEO pack. Okay, and then it gives us a little message here. And we can go back to that. And next we're going to activate the Google XML sitemap. So this will notify Google anytime there's a change to our site. So if we make a post, it'll notify Google. So it's good to help you with the search engines as well. Okay, so that's really all I want to go over with plugins. It's as simple as doing a search and installing them. There are tens of thousands of plugins that you can install for WordPress. You can even buy custom plugins. And if you buy a custom plugin, you're going to have to usually upload it from your server because it won't be in the WordPress codex. So what you would do is you would upload a plugin, and then you would just pick it off your computer. So wherever it is, you just browse for it and you install it this way. Okay, so that wraps up plugins. In the next video, we're going to go over the settings. Now let's have a talk about settings. The general settings, the first thing you would come into, this is where you can change your site title and your tagline. Now since we did a manual install, we have the standard tagline. So you can change this or make it blank. Okay, and then down here, these are the WordPress address and the site address. They can be different if you put your WordPress files in a different spot than your site resides. That's an advanced function. I'm not going to be going over that, but it is something you can do is separate the locations of the two. Okay, next your email address, and then if anybody can register. So if you're going to allow registration on your site, you can check that. Their default role, subscriber, you're usually not going to want to touch that. Next, you can set your time zone. So you can do it by UTC. You can also do it by location. And then down here, you can set the way your date and your time look. And then, of course, your language, the day your week starts. So if you made any changes there, just click Save Changes. Now next, we have writing. Often you don't need to change anything in here unless you're going to be posting by emailing your site. Okay, so here you have convert emoticons to symbols, and then WordPress should correct any incorrect XHTML, your default category, and your default post format. It gets these from the theme, so your theme can have different post formats for the different type of content. And then you have press. This is just a little plugin you put in there. If you're going to post via email, you can set that up here. And then you have a pinging service down here. I never touch any of this stuff. You can use it if you want. Now reading, we've been in here. This is where we set our home page up. I showed you that before. This is where you can also control your blog, number of blog posts to show on a page, so 10 posts, syndication feeds, whether it's full or a summary, and then the search engine, so you can turn the search engines off here. So that's what you can do in that one. Now discussion. If you're going to use a blog, you may want discussion on or off. And if you're going to use a website, you probably want discussion off. So you can set this the way it suits you for your particular situation. And you can always override it on a post level or a page level. These are just the defaults. So I always turn off this attempt to notify because it slows things down. Allow links notifications. I always turn that off. Again, this is up to you. Allow people to post comments on new articles. Okay, so this is the one where either you're going to allow comments or not. So I'm going to turn them off, and then we can turn them on a post-by-post basis if we want. And then down here is some control if you are allowing people to post comments. So what the author must fill out an email, whether they must be registered, etc. So there's lots of post control there. And then you can get an email if somebody posts a comment or a comment is held for moderation. Down here you can put in words that will make your post be, or the comment be held for moderation or blacklisted. So if you have some dirty words, you can put them in here, and then that will blacklist the comment automatically. And down here, whether you're going to show avatars. Okay, let's keep going here. Media. Usually you're going to leave these at the default. So these are different sizes and how it's going to organize the uploads. Permalinks, this is an important section. What this does is it tells your blog how it's going to create the URL to each post or page. So the default is like you see here, it'll put the post number, page number after a question mark at the end. That's not good for search engine optimization. So there's some different ways you can pick here, or you can create a custom one and make your own. But a good one to use is post name. So if you click on that, you can just come down here and save the changes. You can also have a category or tag base in front of it. Let's save the changes. Okay, so now our URL will be the domain name slash the post name, which is the title. So that's good for search engine optimization. Now we have here XML sitemap, and that's because we installed the Google XML sitemap. Okay, so whenever you install a plugin, you will see the settings either inside the settings here, or it will put it somewhere else in this bar on the left, and it could even put it up in here. I think the all-in-one SEO pack is up here, so we'll get to that in a minute. Okay, so at this point we can set up the way we want the XML sitemap to work. I'm just going to leave it at the defaults. And then all-in-one SEO, so general settings. Okay, again, it's giving us some information up here. So you can subscribe if you enjoyed the plugin and you're going to make a donation. You can click here, and then all the other things down here that you can change. This is to help you with your search engine optimization. I will usually put in a description here, and I'll put in some keywords for the front page. And then down here, you can change these if you want or not. I usually take the pipe out and the blog name out of all these and just have the page name and post name, etc. But again, you can leave them the way you want. Okay, and then you can just update down here. Go through the options and just see how you want that to work. Okay, so basically that is using the options. All right, in the next video, we're going to go over blog setup. Now I want to talk about blog setup. What we have right now, if we look at this site, is basically a site with one page on it and a sample page that we need to get rid of. And then we have the comments down here and the footer on the bottom. We're going to go into a little more of the theme later on after I get the blog part set up here. So let's go back into dashboard here. And what I want to do is delete the extra posts and pages out of here. So let's go to posts and all posts. Now let's get rid of this hello world here because this came with it when it was installed as a placeholder. And then also with pages, I want to get rid of any pages that were in here. So this sample page, I created the home page before, but let's get rid of this sample page and we'll trash that. Okay, so let's go back to blogging. So with blogging, you have posts, categories, and tags. Let's go to categories first. So what you want to do is create some categories that have something to do with your blog. Doesn't matter what they are. You just decide how you want to group your posts and you create categories for them. You can also have parent and child categories. So if you had something like cars and then you had underneath that classic cars and classic trucks or whatever, you can create a tree of categories. Okay, so let's say trees. Okay, and you can give a description down here. I'm just going to add trees. And then we're going to put here flowers. And so on. Okay, I'm just going to set up a 2 for now. So I have trees and flowers. Now let's go to posts. We have all posts here. There's nothing here now, but you can add a post from within here by add new, or on the left hand side you can click add new. So let's add new post. And you'll see that the same type of editor comes up over here that you have with pages. It looks much the same, except you have a few more options in here. Okay, so I already showed you how the editor and everything works, how you can add media. So I just put in my favorite trees. A money tree may it always be in bloom. All right, so over on the right side, we've already gone over this stuff. Now, depending on the theme, you can have different formats here. So I'm just using the standard format, but depending on your content, you can use any of these other formats. Now down here at category, I'm going to click on trees. And if you don't have a category that matches here, you can add them on the fly. So you don't have to go back to categories. You can add them right here. Tags, you can just put them right in here. So I'm just going to say tree and comma separated and money. And then we can click add. And again, with the featured image. Now that we've added the all-in-one SEO pack, you can change the title here. You can put a description in here for this post, keywords for this post, and then the other options here. Okay, so let's publish the post. And let's add one more post. So we'll do add new. Okay, so again, go down and pick flowers here. And do money. Now you see when you already have a tag in here that starts with the same name as what you're typing, you can pick it and then we'll just put flowers. We'll add. Let's go up here and publish. Okay, so we have enough there now that I can just show you how the blog will look. So let's go over here and visit the site. Okay, now you see here we just have the page, and then down here we have the comment, and then we have our recent posts down here. So we can change all this in the theme. But now you can see that here's our recent post. So if we click on this, there's my favorite flower. And then over here, we have our categories. Okay, so let's go back and edit this. Now you see at the top, you can edit the category. You can add a new category. And if you go to the post, you can now edit the post. So let's go and edit a post from here. Now, if you look over here, you have screen options. Click on that. And you see these check marks. You can put any of these sections onto the bottom of the page so you can change them. Now, these ones that are checked are what shows up down in the bottom section here. And you'll see that over here we have discussion. So remember I was talking about overriding comments on the post level. So we can go here. Now that we've checked that, we'll be able to go down here and allow comments and allow trackbacks. You can turn off right here by on the post level. Okay, so let's update. And now when I go to this page, it won't show the comment box anymore. Okay, so you see the comment box has gone off there now. Okay, now remember I was in here before. I didn't actually save this. So I could put here, allow people to post comments. So I'm going to turn these three off. And now by default, the post comment box will not appear on any page unless I turn them on at the post level or the page level. All right, let's go back and have another look at the site. Now, since we're using this as a blog now, let's change this up. So let's come back into here. We're going to go into settings, and I'm going to take the home page off. So now what's going to happen is it's going to show up in post order. So let's go have a look now. So now you have your standard blog format here. And you see in the menu up here, they can go to the home page by clicking there. And there we are. Okay, so let's go in and edit the theme now. Let's go to widgets. Widgets are areas on the theme that you can add different parts to. So we have search, recent posts. So let's just move recent posts over to the secondary widget area, just so you can see where it is. Okay, now let's go over here and visit the site. Now you see that we have our recent posts over here, which is a more appropriate place in this kind of a layout rather than at the bottom. Let's go back to widgets. And then let's decide what we want. So we're going to move, let's open that. Now we're going to move the search over here. So you can just grab it by the handle and then pull it over there. And then you can switch the order of them just by pulling one on top of the other or below the other. Okay, archives, categories. Meta is the sign in. I'm not going to put that there. I'll put recent comments. And then we're going to just grab this and pull it over here and empty that area out. So we can add any of these widgets over to the right-hand side that we want there. So let's put the tag cloud over just as an example. And then when you click on these, you can change the title. And then there'll be some other options in each of these as well, or some of them. So if we click on this, you'll see that we can change the title of archives and then the way they're going to display. So you can change the widgets like that. So let's go have another look now. All right, so this is a better way to display for a blog. Rather than on the bottom, we now have moved it to the side. Okay, so there is a typical blog type of situation. Now let's look at using it as a website. Now we're going to set up a simple website using WordPress. Right now we have a blog set up. So what we're going to do now is change it to a website. Now with website, you're going to want to use pages. Now we already have a home page. Let's go to all pages. And then let's just edit this a little bit. All right, I'll just neaten that up a little bit. So what we want to do now is use a page structure rather than a blog structure. So again, we would set this to our home page like we did before. So over to settings, and then we're going to go over to reading, and then we'll go to a static page, which I showed you briefly before, pick the page, and set. Okay, now let's go have a look here now. Now it's perfectly okay to use the posts as pages within your website if you want to do it this way. So you still would have your front page here, and then you would have your recent posts and your archives and so on. It's perfectly fine to do a hybrid like this. However, if you want to create a website that isn't attached to a blog, you can do that as well. Okay, so let's go back and just make this into a straight website without the blogging part in there. Okay, so let's go to pages and then we'll do add new. And now we're going to add an article in here. Okay, now there's not anything to do over here as far as categories and tags are concerned because we don't have them with pages. So let's roll down here. We still have the all-in-one SEO pack here, so we can set all that. Okay, just make sure that this is the way you want it on pages. On a website, you're normally not going to want discussion. Okay, so let's publish. And then I'm going to add one more page. We'll do add new. And I'm going to put another article on here. Okay, so here is our second page. And then again, you can reset whatever you need to within the SEO pack here. And if you want to change the discussion, normally you're not going to want to change the discussion. Okay, so let's publish this one. Okay, now let's go over to the widget area, which is in appearance, and widgets. Now, let's go over to the secondary menu area. We don't want posts. We don't want archives. We don't want categories. We don't want comments. And we don't want tag cloud because we're not using any of that in a website. We're just using our pages at this point. So now we can move our pages over there. And then we can change the title. Let's say navigation. Okay, and then you have a sort order, page title, page order, page ID. And then you can exclude pages. You just got to put their ID in there. But let's just leave that like it is. Now, let's go have a look. Okay, now you'll see down the right hand side now we have navigation and we have our different pages. So let's click on this one. which is our home page. This one is one of our articles. And then this one is the other article. Now you'll notice up in this area, we have them sitting up here too. And this is what's called the menu. So we can have the menu or the sidebar or both. Now it doesn't make sense to have both. So let's go and have a look at the menu now. Let's go up here and go menus. And then you'll see we have menu 1. So whenever there's an area for a menu on a theme, you'll see it over here. Now we can take these all off of here, or we could just leave the home page on here. So to take these off, just go over here, and then what we're going to do is remove. And remove. Okay, now let's click Create Menu. And now we'll save the menu. Now, I should point out that if you want to move things onto the menu, then you move them over from this side, and then you can move them up and down as well. Now, if we're to go have a look now, you'll see nothing has changed. I just want to point this out before we go any further. You'll see they're still all here, and that's because we have to go in and tell it where they go. So you'll see here, manage locations. Okay, and then this is your navigation menu, and the theme location is a sign menu. So if you have more than one menu position in the theme, you can set it. You'll see them here, and then you can set them here. Okay, so let's save. Now when we go look, you'll see that we just have the home page here, and then we have the other pages here. We can take this off by just putting the post number in if we want to exclude that. Just go back to menus for a second here. Now let's go in here. You'll see you can change the navigation label. So you notice how a lot of these are really long. We could change the label to shorten it up if we wanted to use the navigation menu on top instead of using the widget on the side. Okay, so there is an example of how you can create a website using WordPress. Now you'll see that I still have a comment box on here. So let's edit this page. And then what we're going to do is we're going to remove that. And that's because I created the page before I changed the options. So if you change the options first, under discussion and settings, then you won't have to go and change them if you forgot to do it beforehand. Okay. So now if I go look at this page, there you have it. There's no discussion bar on the bottom. Okay, so that's a simple website. Next, we're going to go over how you can create a squeeze page and thank you page. Okay, now I'm going to show you quickly how you can create a squeeze page out of any theme. So I'm just going to use the theme that I am using right now. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to empty out the content in the middle here by taking away the sidebar here, or the widget bar, and then we're just going to fill it up with whatever content we want. So this is a way you can do it without having anything special. Now there are other ways to do it. You can buy specific themes that are created specifically for lead capture pages. And there are also some plugins you can use to create them as well. But I just want to show you how you can do it with any theme you like. So let's go back into pages here. So dashboard, pages. Now I could delete all these, but I'm not gonna because we'll just work around them here. All right, so I'm gonna just create a quick little example here. And then in the center here, this is going to be where our stuff is. So in here, you could put a YouTube video, for instance, or you could put a picture, or you can just put text. So it's really entirely up to you. So I'm just going to put a picture in here that we already have up. So let's just add this. And then let's left justify it. And then let's put some text here. Now, if you highlight this, you can go over here and you can turn this into a heading. Okay, so that was a little too big to fit there. Let's make it a heading 3. Now, when you use a heading, of course, it automatically converts to a new line. That's why it went down underneath here. So let's just go back and undo that. So we'll just make it a paragraph. And then we can just make it bigger here by changing the font size. Now, if you don't want to do it in here, you can always use a web editor. So let's open up Composer. Composer is a free web editor you can download. Just search for Composer, like you see in the title bar up there, Kompozer. So let's get the permalink for this file here, for this picture. Okay, and there's the permalink here. Let's copy that. And then we'll use that in the Composer here. So we'll do image, paste that in there. Take the alt tag out. So you can change the dimensions here if you want. Okay, they look awful large here. So let's make this 400. You'll see that it kept the dimensions there. Okay, and then appearance, so we want to wrap to the right. Click OK. Okay, now we can put our headline here. Okay, so now we have a lot more editing tools that we can use. So we can just hit this and bold it, underline it, change the color. Then you can continue. Okay, and then you could go and get your opt-in code from your autoresponder and put it right in here. And I'm just going to put opt-in code. But you would go to whichever one you're using, Aweber or Get Response or whatever. You'd get the code that you need for the form you designed and you'd put it there. Okay, now what you do is you go to Source and you take everything underneath the body tag. So let's find the body. So there's body. So everything between there and the slash body tag, do a copy. I got an extra character there, but we'll fix that in a sec. Now let's go back over here. Go to text. Let's get rid of all this. And paste this in here. have a look. Okay, and then you can tweak it in here if you don't like the way it looks once you get it in here. Okay, so once we have that the way we want it, we'll just publish. Now we need to go to settings and we need to go to reading. And then we need to change this to get this now and save changes. Let's grab a look. Now we haven't done everything yet. We're still going to have to get rid of some stuff. But there would be our start of our squeeze page. We still got to get rid of this. So let's go back to widgets. And then we want to go over here, remove everything. Now let's have a look. Okay, so that took everything out of there. The only thing we have left is this up here. So we can go into menu now. And then we can go here, remove, save, go back and look again. And there you have it. Now you notice that we left something down here. Something must have gone wrong in the widgets. Let's go back. Oh, accidentally dragged this one over here. So let's get that out of the way. And let's go back and have another look now. And there it is. Okay. Now you would create a thank you page in the same way. And then of course your opt-in form would direct you to the thank you page. Now I haven't talked about changing the header and stuff, and we're going to do that in the next video. I avoided editing the theme in any of the other sections because I wanted to put it separately. So I want to show you how you can edit the colors and put your own header in and stuff like that. So let's go up here and let's go to customize. You can also get to this from within the dashboard. Okay, so what we want to do now is change the header image. Now it comes with headers, but what you can do is you can create your own. So right here it says you need 1600 by 230 pixels of a header to put in here. So just create one that size or have one created. Okay, so I created a custom one real quick. So I'm going to do add new image. Now I'm going to upload. And then I'll do select here, or I could drag and drop it in. Let's drag and drop it in. Let's insert it. Okay, now there's a crop feature here. So if it wasn't the right size, you could crop it. I don't really need to, but I'm going to just do it anyway. And there it is. So let's save and publish. Now look what's happened. Here's our custom banner, and there is the text underneath. So if you roll down here, sometimes they put it in different places. It might be in here. Yeah, so you can click this display header text, and then that goes away. Okay, so that's how you can use a custom image for the top there. You also have colors. Now, this doesn't work on all themes like this one, but some of them will allow you to change colors in different places. Okay, and then navigation. This is where you set the menu. So we have the menu 1. We don't need to do anything there. And really, that's all we can change in this one. Sometimes you can change the background, but this one doesn't have that. So there may be different things in different themes. Okay, so let's just grab that out of there. Close this. Okay, so there we go. That's how you can customize it with your own banner. Now, if you're good with CSS, you can go further. You can go into here and let's go down to themes. And then you can go down to editor. Now, this is not for everybody, but if you know what you're doing, you can go into the style sheet here and you can make changes. Now, the only problem with doing this directly is if the theme updates, it'll overwrite it. So it's a good idea to use a child theme, and I'll include a separate video on child themes in the package. You can also go and change any of the other codes you like in here. Okay, so now you know how to get WordPress installed and set up, how you can use it for blogging, websites, and for lead capture pages.